Okay, we should be live by now here. Give my camera a minute to come on. Looks like that's it. And action. Lil Crabbie part 5, take 1 and only, I guess. Anyway, it's about 7 p.m. here in Connecticut, northeastern United States. I've been working on this boat that I picked up cheap and trying to repair it, and I keep finding new damage every time I dig down a little bit. Hopefully this is the last of it. This one threw me a little bit, but I think we can handle it. I'll show you what I'm looking at. First of all, I'll start off with this is a 12-foot Sears Game Fisher. They're popular, I guess, 70s and 80s or whatever. It's a pretty old boat. When I got it, this front piece here was all busted open. This was all busted and cracked up in here. So if you go back and look at part 1, 2, 3, whatever, I cut all the bad section out. And I went ahead and built a little form underneath with tape and laid just some epoxy in and some fiberglass. And now I'm just going to build up layers of fiberglass to make it run on the, in line with the boat. I found this here. This is under a seat. I'm going to have to repair this from the outside. I'm not going to take this $50, $100 boat here and start digging seats out and everything else on the inside. So I'll put a couple of good layers of fiberglass over this, which will replace the structure here just fine. Epoxy is a lot stronger than the plastic. You can see, I don't know if you can notice that the plastic moves pretty good. You want to let this patch here move with it a little bit, but I got to do some filling in here, up in here. And the last part was they had like 3 holes that they had drilled in the back of this thing. There was one here, and one there. I just put some fiberglass over it, filled some goo, put some tape on the inside. You can see I laid fiberglass to here. Now what I've done after I laid all that fiberglass in and let it come down was, you're gonna have rough edges on the fiberglass up in here. I went ahead and I ground everything smooth and feathered everything out. All the temporary skins that I laid down like this. And then I used my grinder, and you'll have to go back to part 3, I believe, to really see how I scored up and cross-hatched all this. This is to make sure that the epoxy that I'm going to use forms a nice chemical bond to the surface as well as a mechanical bond. Polyester resin is not an adhesive, so it does not do the same thing. It doesn't create a chemical bond. It just creates a mechanical bond. So with polyester, with epoxy, which is an adhesive, you can do both. You can create a mechanical, which I've done by scoring up, and you can see these score marks. I hope you can see these score marks in here. Okay, nice scored up. And then I went over with some light sandpaper. After I ground the edges, I just made sure I sanded this with some 120, give it a little bit of edge, so again the stuff can grip on here. All right, this is gonna, we're gonna go ahead and clean this up a little bit, and we're gonna start laying some more fiberglass down and some epoxy filler over that cut on the other side. It's going to be a little bit of a long video, folks. I will warn you that I'm an older fella with COPD. You might hear me huffing and puffing. There may be a few minutes when I don't talk. Epoxy does have a time limit. I'm using a Total Boat resin, high performance epoxy resin, with a 2-to-1 mix kit. And this is a medium speed hardener, okay? You can buy fast, slow, and medium. When I used to build a lot of wooden boats, I used to be really good at mixing the hardeners and being able to decide just exactly how fast I wanted everything to harden based on the humidity and the temperature and things like that. Another thing I'll say about epoxy and resin, especially if you're working on a wood, is you want to do it toward the end of the day when temperatures are dropping, as opposed to the beginning of the day when you're going to do your repair and temperatures are going to rise. Temperatures rising in wood creates you know, moisture. It creates a gassing off. It'll gas off that moisture. It'll create bubbles in your finish. So what you want to do is you want to, just like painting, really, you want to paint as the temperature is either dropping or remains constant while it's curing. So anyways, I'm going to put this on. And again, this is a backyard project. It's my first fiberglass boat that I've ever worked on. I've done a lot of fiberglass work on wooden boats. So I'm kind of hacking my way through this. I hope you all understand. And I'm just going to try to fill in some of that stuff. And then after, you know, after we fill in this area here, I'm going to fill in all this, fill in this, lay some stuff down, clean up this over here. Then after we get this all filled in, we'll turn the, and finished off, we'll turn the boat over. We'll grind off the masking tape that I used to make a backing to put the glass down on this side, which again is in my other videos. We'll grind that off, we'll finish it inside, and we'll have a nice patch. For quickness, we bevel these things 12 to, I'm sorry, yeah, 12 to 1. So, you know, 1.5 inches for an 1/8 inch on each side to try to create kind of an edge like this to glass in and glass in. It holds it in to hold it together. Fiberglass work on a boat is a little bit delicate. Boat hulls are designed to flex. So you want to make sure you engineer it so it can flex a little bit with the hull. And that's a whole nother story. So it's going to be boring for a few minutes here. I'm just going to decide on a few things as to what kind of glass I'm going to use, and I'm going to mix something up and put it in here and start filling. Now. All right, I'm back. Sorry, I had to run and grab my gloves. Always wear gloves with epoxy. You don't want to get sensitized to it, develop an allergy. Wouldn't be good. Once I start putting on the epoxy, I'll put on a mask too. because of the hardener. Once it's hardened, it's okay. I'm going to try to use up some old pieces from other jobs over the years. I think this will be good. Yeah, that'll be good. Can you see me? Okay, you can see me. Okay, I'm going to grab some 4-inch, some 2-inch, and some 3-inch. So, I've got to build up in here. I apologize, having trouble finding my scissors. I don't know where I put them, and I need them. Here they are. Okay. So let's see what we got here. I'm gonna weigh and we're gonna just cut a few of these. Guess we'll try to get one more here. And I'll show you what I'm doing with that after. Like I said, oh damn. Is that better? Oh, there you go. Okay. Sorry about that. Hopefully that's going to be better. So, I've got epoxy and fiberglass. I'll show you here. This is 6-ounce fiberglass weave. They make it in different heavies. I usually use just 6-ounce. I have some 4-ounce tight weave here somewhere. It's around. Here it is. No, oh, here it is in here. 4-ounce tight weave. I don't know if you can even see that. That's for like doing skins or something like that. It's not real structural. It's just for abrasion resistance or things like that. So I'm going to lay some of this glass in here a few times and try to fill in this area where it's kind of humped in. You can see I just kind of wanted to put some skin in there to close off that big hole I ground. I'm going to use a baggie to put a little bit of stuff down in here, and I do need one piece for that, and we'll get started. It's very hot today, but we'll see how much I can get done. Working with epoxy, the hardener can create issues over time, so you just want to wear a mask. Listen, you're sitting here watching me huff and puff. I'm 64 years old with COPD. It's 80-something degrees out with humidity just out of this world. You can hear the trouble I'm having breathing, and I'm about to put on a mask to do epoxy work. I hope that's all I gotta say. All right, seriously. Rena, introduce my partner. There's my partner, Rena. Up, girl. Up, here you go. Say hi. Say hi. That's my baby girl. This boat is for her. This boat is so we can take our doggy out with us when we go out and play. So, total boat 2-to-1. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to address this crack here. I'm going to show you how I do that. I can't get underneath it without cutting into the inside hull of the boat, and for a cheap boat like this, it's not worth it. So, epoxy has to be mixed thoroughly, 1 to 2 minutes. I've explained in other videos why. Just trust me, that's not where you save the time. All right. Back off. Back off. Good girl. That's 30 seconds. That's like a minute. Almost done. I'll start putting the thickener in a second. Okay, I just put a skim coat down, nice and thin, that I can stick stuff to. So now we're going to put something, some of the glass down, then we'll lay some thickener over it. You'll see. is put your epoxy over a bucket. The nozzles will drip a little bit. And remember, 1.5 to 1 minute at least, to 1.5, 2 minutes to mix. Epoxy is very critical that every 2 molecules touch 1 molecule hardener to epoxy resin in this 2-to-1 mix. With polyester, you can put in more or less hardener to affect the rate of the cure. With epoxy, it's just very important that you mix properly, exact, and you spend the time to mix it. Okay? 40 seconds maybe. This we're going to thicken a little bit and lay some in. I'm going to thicken with aerosol for structure. It doesn't really add structure, but it helps it harden a little harder. Anything you add into the epoxy takes away from its strength, but the strength isn't in the epoxy, it's in the filler. This stuff is light and airy. All right. It starts starting to warm up a little bit, which means it's starting to cure. Okay, again, a minute to 2 minutes. I'm only at about 40 seconds, 45. Getting there. Trying to race the rain. This is 2-to-1 mixture epoxy resin. I have the pumps that calibrated automatically. So 1 pump of each gives you the correct ratio. I'm about at a minute now. I can go ahead and I lay most of the epoxy down under the glass. Just makes it easier, man. Instead of trying to push epoxy down into air pockets, I push glass up through. Bed it nice and wet. And lay it down. There we go. It fills up nice. There we go. That's filled nicely. I'll show you in a minute. But what you want to do is you want that glass to be invisible. If that glass is invisible, you've done your job. Sorry folks. I'm just thinking here for a second. All right. Got 4 pumps of my Total Boat epoxy resin, 4 pumps of hardener, and a minute to a minute and a half to 2 minutes of stirring. That's 1 minute, or about. Make sure you get it all off the sides. Like I said, epoxy mixture is very critical. If it's a 2-to-1 mix, that means ideally 2 molecules of resin touch 1 molecule of hardener. The more percentage of that happens throughout the mix, the stronger it is. I've been going for about 1 minute and 20 seconds now. I'll go for 10 more seconds. You start to feel the pot warm up a little bit. That's not a bad thing. It means you're starting to cure. You got a good mix. Now, doesn't mean you got a good mix, but it means you've been mixing it for a while, right? It's already starting to kick. I'm just going to add like I said before, it's a lot easier to bring epoxy up through than to push it down in. Okay? So I'm going to wet this really well right here. Most of my epoxy is going to go down first. And hopefully you can see this. The fiberglass is white. Okay? You see how it's already starting to clear through? Because I'm bringing the air up, pushing the air out with epoxy. This is good. This is what we want. Look at that. See how it's turning nice and clear? Okay? That's what we need. Make sure you get all the air out. Making sure we're getting all the air out of here. Filling in that glass. Remember, fiberglass is to hold resin. Resin is to fill fiberglass. They kind of go together. A little bit of hair there. Got this one little section in here to work. All right, so this is All right, give me a second. Like I said before, I'm 64 years old with COPD. It's 80-something degrees and humidity. So if I huff and puff, you have to forgive me a little bit. I'm going to show you in a second what we did here. I just need to be able to see out of my glasses again. Whew, yes. And we've got a little bit more to put on the back. Okay, I can see again. So, if you'll bear with me, we're almost done with this section here. Almost done with this tape. Very sweaty hands here, trying to get into these gloves. But again, you don't want to get sensitized to epoxy. It's just not good. It's plastic. Last thing you need is to be allergic to plastic. And because of the hardeners that they use, you can get sensitized. Once it's hardened, it's not as much of an issue. But if you'll bear with me here, we'll get this going again. I'll give you a quick show of what we just did. The other day we found a new crack when we were grinding. It was under the paint. And give me 1 second here. So anyways, we'll take a quick look. My brush and my pot might harden up, but we'll see what happens, okay? This is what we're looking for. You can see the color of the fiberglass is white. When it's full of resin, it's clear. That's what we're looking for, okay? We're looking for clear resin. These little white spots here are not air. What they actually are is little spots of aerosol. That's the thickener that I used earlier to put a little thick on this, okay? So what we've done is I had masked inside. This is the second layer of fiberglass that's going down on here. I cut these pieces. I probably shouldn't have, but I got lots of scraps. I'll give them a shout out because they've really done a lot for the boating community, even though I've never used them before. But Total Boat, you know, they delivered the kit here, and I look at some of their videos and they do, I don't watch other people's videos, but what I've seen of theirs, they do some pretty good stuff. They really are out looking to help you do what I'm trying to help you do, is just figure out that you can do this by yourself. You can have a little boat. I've got some wood flour back here. I used Cabasol to thicken earlier. Anyways, I got to get going back on this because I've got epoxy and pots that are hardening on me. So I'm going to back you up a little. We'll take a little bit of a look. Hopefully you can see pretty much what I see. Thickener, I don't know, a little bit. Try to get some of the excess off, only because it can be a pain to deal with later, right? But other than that, it's not so bad. If you get it, I showed you earlier, for years I sanded and did all kinds of stuff, but I found that a $35 Sears grinder really changes your life. So anyway, I'm filling the glass here. I might shape it a little bit just to see if I can kind of help it get the shape I want. Sorry, I'm having trouble seeing again here. There we go. Yeah, my glasses keep fogging up on me. I don't want to get air in there, so I'm going to just leave that alone and grind it off after. All right? Sorry, folks. So again, what I'm trying to do here is just kind of fill all this up nice. Make sure there's no air underneath it. Make sure it's nice and clear and a little bit smooth, right? So one more piece to do back here. It's probably going to take about 4 squirts. So, whoops. Sorry. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So if you can see me, I'm going to do 4 squirts. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then put it over the bucket. 1, 2, and again, it's really important that you stir this for 1 to 1.5 minutes, at least 2 minutes is preferred. The strength of epoxy is completely dependent on the effectiveness of the stir. We'll say directly related to the effort. All right, now I'd already put some epoxy down here. I'm going to put a little more. Yeah, because that started to kick a little bit. Let's wet this up nice. Like I said before, it's easier to put epoxy into wet than to put the glass into wet than to try to put it into something dry. You'll see. Just glue it down, man. That's all. It's white, right? Raina. My dog heard me barking, or heard me talking. Started barking. There we go. You can see it almost immediately start to turn clear. See that? Can you see that, chat? Look at that. Beautiful. Make sure there's no air in there. I'm filling that in. Make sure it turns nice and clear. There we go. That's it. There we go. That's pretty much it. I'm just going to look for any air spots or, you know, smooth it out a little bit. That's it. Okay. Let me see if I can get you back. Like I said, I do apologize for the camera angles and the quiet sometimes. I'm a 64-year-old boomer with COPD, working in the Northeast where the humidity is crazy this week. Temperatures are crazy. So I huff and puff and have a little trouble talking. We used today, hang on. I'll bring you over here and we'll take a little quick look at what we did. So, today we laid fiberglass tape 2-inch wide here, 6-inch wide here, a little 2-inch over here in this crack, and 4-inch wide back here over these patches that I had already covered with fiberglass cloth the other day. Now you can see it's a little rough. We'll smooth all that out and put another layer on there and make it look nice and fill it in eventually, but right now I just wanted to make sure we got that hole nice and solid. Boat holes are a little bit strange, whereas they're, you know, they're made to flex. When I used to design and build boats, you have to remember, they do need to flex a little bit, you know, especially if they're going to get any kind of heavier conditions on them, you know, under power or in bigger water or a combination of the two. I would build experimental holes, which meant I could put extra horsepower on, above and beyond general Coast Guard regulation. It was all legal, but the point is you've got to build some flex into a hull. So when I'm working with this fiberglass, I want to make sure that I lay it in such a way that I allow for flex. You know, fiberglass like this is 2 layers that can flex, and they're separated by some filler to create the laminations. I think it's going to work out nice here. Anyways, I probably could have thickened a little bit, but we'll go ahead and fill these in and they'll be fine. So again, what we use today, I'm going to go ahead and have you watch me do the cleanup here, because I can show you exactly what we use for everything. Again, let me just put some gloves on. Just look at every little bit of epoxy that you touch means more and more chance of you becoming sensitized someday down the line. And if you're like me and really get hooked on boat building, that'll be a bad, bad thing. I'm hoping I'm not sensitized. I built 60 boats when I was younger, and right toward the end, before I retired and came up here to take care of Pup, I think I may have begun to develop a sensitivity. Haven't seen it yet though, but I've only been out for a few days. So anyway, what we used today was Total Boat high performance epoxy resin. I want to talk about epoxy for a minute and the difference between it and polyester. Polyester resin is a laminating resin. That's what it's for. It's for laminating parts to create structure. Okay. Epoxy will do that, but it's also an adhesive, which means that if you use polyester, for instance, to try to adhere to something, you have to really count on this mechanical grip, which you can see in some areas I created with the grinder, cross hatching. You'll have to go back through my other videos. You might be able to see a little bit of it here. Cross hatching in to give it a mechanical grip. Now when you use epoxy, you want that mechanical grip, but you also do get a chemical bond because it's epoxy and it's an adhesive. So you get to take advantage of both. Also, epoxy resin is a little bit flexible where polyester hardens pretty hard. And again, you need a little bit of flex in a hull because there's going to be forces on that hull that you can't account for at one point or another. So anyway, here today and for this project, I've used Total Boat. I'll give them another shout out. I really will, because I've never used them before. But listen, you want to know how to use fiberglass, go look at their videos. You can buy your stuff from them. They're really good about helping you make sure you get the right stuff, from what I understand. But anyways, this is my fiberglass that I have. Most of this is 4 and 6 ounce weave. So this is 4 ounce weave right here. I have some that are marked 6 ounce. This is 6 ounce here, and this roll. But I have lots of rolls from back in my boat building days. You know, keep it for almost every occasion, right? Fiberglass and epoxy, what a miracle. It means everybody can build a boat and it'll float, because you can't make a mistake. And if you do, you know what? Paint hides a lot, and it's going to be 10 times stronger than whatever material you're building the boat out of anyway. But that came from my mentor, Dynamite Payson. Said paint hides a lot, Scotty. Yeah, Dynamite. R.I.P. Dynamite. You brought instant boats and this type of construction along with Phil Bolger to the masses, and I thank you for it. Really changed my life, that's for sure. Get out of there right now. My dog wants to eat my paint sticks. My daughter said that would happen. So anyways, here, I'll keep talking while I'm working. Anyways, so Total Boat resin, fiberglass material. This is the fiberglass material right here, and again, when it's filled up, it's clear, as you notice on the boat. I have System 3 wood flour. People try to use sawdust. It's not the same, okay? It's just not. This is literally wood flour. Look at that stuff, okay? You use that to mix in. Back in my boat building days, if I did a clear coat boat, you can use maple flour, will turn brownish with epoxy, whereas pine flour will be more tan. And if you mix them together properly, a lot of times you can match the wood that you're using. So when you lay down your fiberglass tape, it actually matches the color of the wood you put it on. It gets tricky. This is Cabasil. This adds more structure than fiberglass. Than wood flour. And this stuff is extremely light. I mean, this stuff is it's just air. And you really don't want to work with this without a mask. Again, this is one of those things you don't want to get in your lungs. It's expanded glass, just not good in there, okay? Use acetone to clean up with. And always wear gloves. Please wear gloves and a mask when you're working with epoxy. Don't get sensitized to epoxy. It's not good. It can be very dangerous. So, as we get this stuff put away for the day. Hopefully you've gotten something out of today's rants. We'll come out in the morning and take a look at this and see how hard it got. I've forgotten a few things from when I used to work on boats, so I probably could have done a little better job here. Look at the size of this tape, this big 6-inch tape. Probably could have done a little better job at this, but it's been about 15 years since I've worked with fiberglass. I'm kind of remembering as I go along. I do appreciate it though. I don't think you'd consider me a hack. I am doing kind of a hack job on this boat, and that's intentional. I have carbon fiber, I have carbon powder, I have other materials and things that I could use to repair this boat a lot easier, but they're not things that you all have access to. The whole idea is to show you how you can take a boat by the side of the road that's beat to snot and safely put it on the water for you and your family, using materials that you can get right off the internet real cheap, not have to buy gallons of carbon powder or Kevlar and special scissors to cut it with to repair the boat. So anyways, that was the idea of this whole project. Again, is to show you how you can do this stuff. I recycle these buckets. I'll show you that maybe next time around. Basically, it's as simple as waiting for what's in there to harden and crack it out. All right. Yes, we're about set. Cutters, don't bother with deep woods off. I've been a fisherman, a boat builder, and on the water my whole life. That's all I'm going to say. Well, folks, that's about it for me. I'm Scotty, the Backyard Renegade. That was part 5. We're getting to a point where, I mean, we could float this boat tomorrow if we wanted. Now it's just a case of filling in some of the dings and then we'll paint it and let it rock, you know. But yeah, this will work all right for today, what we've done here. And somewhere, okay. Nobody here at all, huh? Nobody in chat, no viewers. It's getting kind of frustrating, but hey, nobody owes me nothing. I'd like to be able to show y'all some of the stuff I've learned to do. Hopefully over time, we'll get somebody to come up and take a peek, you know. But anyways. So anyways, that's it. One last look at the work we did today, I guess. And then we'll head up. Let me just close this a little bit here. Give you a tour. I'm filming with a GoPro Max 360. This is what we did today. It's a Sears Game Fisher. And we put the fiberglass. I don't know if you can see the 2-inch wide strip here. We had put in filler the other day. That's what the white is underneath. Same thing here. We had filler and filler and some tape under there. And we just put another layer of glass. We got 2 layers of glass here, 2 here. and then 2 back here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's in there. And I went all the way up the end of the transom. We also put a little strip. There's a little cut that I found in here when I was cleaning up this boat. It's underneath the seat inside, and I'd actually have to cut the seat out to repair it from the inside. So I just blew a bunch of material in behind it, and I'm going to lay 3 or 4 layers of fiberglass over the top of it and just create a new structural point here that won't require those 2 edges to be one piece anymore. We'll make them one piece, but our own way. And again, we just got to fill this in. You can go back through my other videos to see why we ended up cutting all this out and what's going on with all that. But again, we probably got $150 into this boat so far. And in a few days, it'll be ready to go on the water. The big expense will be if we decide to paint it nice. Paint's probably more expensive than anything else we used. But anyway, this is my backyard. This is where I play. So it's been wonderful talking to y'all. Thanks for stopping in. The Backyard Renegade. And I'm here to show you how to do stuff that they used to want to charge you a bunch of money to do for you. Have a good one.